Welcome back, golfers. Today we're going to talk about impact. If your impact is struggling, hitting it heavy, hitting it thin, then stay tuned. If you haven't liked and subscribed to this channel yet, hit that button down below. So impact, so important in the golf swing. What does impact do for you? A good solid impact, meaning hitting ball, then turf. Why is that so important? One reason we want to do that is it helps create more backspin on the ball, so when that ball lands on the green, it actually will stop. It also helps you keep the ball in the air so the ball can stay, we can hit it further. It also gives us control over that golf ball as well. So if you're struggling with your impact, maybe you're hitting it heavy, maybe you're hitting it thin, maybe you're just inconsistent with hitting it solid or hitting it just behind, and what we're going to talk about today is going to help you get better at making that impact and what causes a good impact versus what causes a bad impact. So when we're thinking about the way the club's moving, the way that our hands are moving, you got to think of it like a race. It's a race between the club head and the hands. And in this race, the club head's always going to move faster than what our hands are able to, but we always need to make sure that our hands win the race back through the golf ball. Meaning, when I come into it, I don't want to see that, where you can see the shaft beat, or the club head beat the hands. I don't want to see that, where it's straight up and down on top of the golf ball. I want to see that position where we have forward shaft lean, my lead hands on the left side of my inside part of my left leg or on my left leg, and then the handle or the club head is behind at impact. So how do we do that? So in order for our hands to win the race, that means we need to create lag in the club head, in the shaft, in our wrist, right there, so that club stays behind us longer. What we want to feel is we get into a good solid load, then this arm stays close to the body, which will help hold on to that angle in our wrist. And then from that position, once the club starts to lag all the way down close, hopefully towards our right pocket, the club will naturally release, but you can see my hands are already far enough ahead that I'm going to end up winning the race with my hands. The problem is when we get golfers that have a top-down sequence, meaning throwing it from the top, we're going to get here and they cast away all that energy. What's going to happen now, if I cast away that club, when I come into impact, now that club's going to end up winning. It's going to look like that. I'm going to be swinging off my right side, not connected to my shoulders, and we're going to end up hitting poor interaction with the turf. So we're doing it properly. Load, transition, hands maintaining the lag, and then the release, and then I'm going to win the race with my hands. When the hands win the race, you guys are going to hit a nice solid shot. You're going to feel ball, then turf, make a nice solid divot, and the compression on the ball is going to be much better. Not going to see balloon shots, and your shots are going to be much more penetrating and with the right amount of spin. If you haven't watched my video yet on secrets to lag, it's really going to give you a good helping tutorial on how to create more lag in the golf swing, which will help get those hands further forward in the sequence and make it so we do have that leading handle into the golf ball. So when we're getting ready to hit and we're trying to figure out how we're going to make good contact with the golf ball, I want you guys to be thinking about where your weight is in the golf swing. So if I'm taking swings here and I'm not moving my weight at all, you can see my impact right there is right on the golf ball. Okay? So if my weight's center at impact, I'm going to possibly hit it solid, possibly hit it heavy. You know, it's going to be very inconsistent because we're not going to hit it solid every time because our weight's going to be just slightly right or left, and that's just going to create some inconsistencies with where we're going to end up bottoming out the club. Now, if you're a golfer that takes, you know, into your load, but you never get out of your load, so you get stuck on your back side and you come down, you can now see my impact position is behind the golf ball. So we want to make sure when we're, you know, into our load, we need to start our downswing and start moving weight towards our target, which is over there. So as we take it back, load, weight's into our right side, we're feeling it somewhere in here. If I stayed there, I'm going to hit it heavy, or I might even hit it thin because I'm coming up at it. First move we make, we're going to center up our knees, square it up, my hands are still way up here, and then when I come through, you can see my weight now moves left. When my weight moves left, impact becomes in front of the golf ball, and that's when we get that ball turf interaction rather than ball and turf interaction at the same time when we're 50-50, or turf then ball if our weight is back. So that's the one that's probably giving you guys the most trouble. So what should a good solid divot look like after the golf ball? So if you're looking down at this divot, that's where the ball was. This is where the divot came into play. And you can see when I put my club down there that the divot is about club head width through about dollar width size, and it exits nice and square, enters nice and square. If you don't see your divots looking this way, then it could be a fit issue with your clubs. It might need a lie angle change, or the club path is not near where it was originally when you guys were at setup. So what should my impact look like? So I'm going to show you guys how to find where your impact should be. So the first thing you're going to do is just set up to the golf ball normal. Once you're in a good setup position, I want you to bump your hip to the left or towards your target side just a little bit. I'm going to have you press your handle just a little bit forward and a little bit up. Once it's in that position, that hip is going to lead a little bit more, so press those hips open, press that hip back a little bit, right there, and then you'll feel a lot more pressure going down into the handle once you get into this position. So what we're seeing right now is that shaft leaning straight up through that shoulder, or straight down from the shoulder to the golf ball. My head staying right where it was originally, so you can see that little bit of bow in the body. You can see this leg is pushed forward and is driving this hip towards my handle. It's pressing into the handle. Hips press back. Hip tilt stills down. Hands, if you look at my zipper line here, or my sternum is pressing into the handle as well. And then the left leg straight up to my left shoulder, my lead side, is nice and straight. And that's what you call the K position. You might have heard that before. You see the K right there and straight down. It's kind of like a reverse K. So another important position we need to make sure we get into is a good finish position. So when we get into a good finish position, we're solid on our left side, up and down, what we call posting up on our left side. My trail hip is onto my lead heel, and my hips are pressed forward, allowing my chest to be vertically up and down. When you're hitting driver, you might be in this position. When you're hitting irons, you'll be more in this position. That back foot, I can pick it up and balance on that front foot because all my weight is over. If you're doing this really well, you'll see this toe up and this toe up. So the position I like telling my students to get into is toe up, knees together, belly button to the target. And by doing that, all our weight is shifted through the golf ball, and then we get to a nice balanced position, and that allows our hands to get further ahead when we do make it to impact. So a drill I'd like you guys to do to help you with getting your hands to lead more. So we're going to take our swing into 3 parts. So the first part is we're going to take our club up into load. Then the second part, we're going to make a transition. And you can see this is basically, a ready position in any other sport. The only thing we're going to do, hips going to be bumped just a touch to the left, and our hands are going to be over here to our right. Hips are going to be tucked, pushed back, and we're going to be in that ready position. From there, we're going to swing to finish. And you'll feel when you do that, you'll feel more of a whip. I want your hips to go all the way through to the finish position. And what we're going to see is the hands will lead all the way through that impact position. Load, transition, swing to finish. You do this drill, it'll really help you create the proper sequencing in the swing. It'll get your hands in the right spot. We've talked about shallowing the club. It's going to help shallow the club as well. And it's going to give you that feeling of that whipping sensation where the hands win and then the club comes in and just whips right through the impact zone, giving you more power through without as much effort, which is kind of what the goal of the golf swing is. We don't want to be using so much effort and not getting anything out of it. We want to make sure the effort that we're using is efficient in using our tool, the club or the shaft, and loading it and unloading it on the golf ball effectively. Thank you guys for watching this week. If you take those drills and those positions I showed you and apply them to your golf swing, making sure you get a good solid load, a nice transition, and make it to that full posted up finish, you're going to find your impacts with the golf balls will be much better. You're going to see that ball turf interaction, and you guys are going to hit much better shots. Remember, if your feet aren't working, your swing's not working. I'll catch you guys next time.